Lots of huge construction project was at that time, when Solomon was the king. Let's see these.
History is meaningful if we learn from it. Technology changed a lot, but the basic human feelings and needs are the same. This episode part of a series which speaks about people who are mentioned in the Bible. Thanks for all who would like to support this channel. Please, if you can subscribe, or give a like, or a meaningful comment. In the description you may find other opportunities to support this channel. Enjoy.
Solomon began construction on the Temple of Jehovah on Mount Moriah in the 4th year of his reign, in the 2nd month of the year, the month Ziv, April to May, in 1034 BCE. The temple was built in silence. The stones were fitted before being transported to the site, so no hammers, axes, or other iron tools could be heard. In exchange for wheat and oil, King Hiram of Tyre agreed to furnish cedar and juniper tree timber. He also provided laborers, including Hiram, a skilled carpenter who was the son of a Tyrian man and a Hebrew woman. Solomon conscripted 30,000 men for forced labor and sent them to Lebanon in 10,000-man shifts every month. Each group returned to their homes for 2-month periods. Besides these, there were 70,000 burden-bearers and 80,000 cutters. These last-named groups were non-Israelites. The massive construction effort took 7.5 years to complete. Ending in the 8th month, Bull, in 1027 BCE. It appears that bringing in the utensils and getting everything organized took some time after that, for Solomon sanctified and inaugurated the temple in the 7th month, Ethanim, during the festival of booths. As a result, it must have happened in the 7th month of 1026 BCE, 11 months after the edifice was completed, rather than a month before, in 1027 BCE, as some have thought. Some argue that the inauguration services took place in Solomon's 24th year, 1014 BCE, after he had completed his own house and other government facilities, which took another 13 years, totaling 20 years of construction. And it came to pass after Solomon had finished building the house of the Lord and his own house after 20 years, then King Solomon assembled all the elders of Israel in Sion, to bring the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord out of the city of David. This is Sion, in the month of Athanan, according to the Greek Septuagint, which interpolates certain words not found in the Masoretic text. However, a comparison of the accounts in Kings and Chronicles indicates that this is an incorrect conclusion. The account in 1 Kings chapters 6–8 details the temple's construction and completion, then Solomon's 13-year government building effort, and finally the inauguration. This suggests that the description of the government building program was introduced parenthetically to round out and conclude the discussion of building operations. Finally, all the work that Solomon had to do for the house of Jehovah was at its completion, and Solomon began to bring in the things made holy by David his father. It says in 2 Chronicles chapter 5 verses 1–3. Solomon then proceeded to gather all of Israel's older men as well as all of the tribes' heads. The text then goes on to describe the inauguration after recounting the priests' installation of the Ark of the Covenant in the temple, which they transported from the city of David up to the Temple Hill. Solomon's prayer. Solomon refers to Jehovah as the God above all, a God of loving kindness and fidelity, and the fulfiller of his promises in his prayer during the temple's dedication. Despite the fact that the temple was built to house Jehovah, Solomon knew that, the heavens, yea, the heaven of the heavens, themselves, could not hold him. He is the God of justice, who rewards the upright and punishes the wicked, but forgives the sinner who repents and returns to him. He is not a nature deity, but he has authority over the elements, animal life, and even the countries of the world. He is the God of all who seek him, not just the God of the Hebrews. Solomon emphasized his wish to see Jehovah's name magnified throughout the earth in his prayer. Solomon also conveyed his own love for righteousness and justice, as well as affection for God's people Israel and foreigners seeking Jehovah. All of the priests officiated at the inauguration. There was no need to follow David's divisions on this occasion. Aside from the grain offerings, 22,000 cattle and 120,000 sheep were offered as burnt offerings and communion sacrifices during the festal 7-day period, which was closed by a solemn assembly on the 8th day, demonstrating the need for all services. Because the number of sacrifices exceeded the capacity of the big copper altar, Solomon had to dedicate a piece of the courtyard for this purpose. Solomon later established the priests' divisions over their functions and the Levites' duty stations, as specified by David. The temple was now the location where all the Israelites were to congregate for their annual festivals and sacrifices to Jehovah. Government constructions. Solomon constructed a new royal residence on Mount Moriah, just to the south of the temple, so that it was near the temple's outer courtyard but on lower ground, during the 13 years after the temple was finished. He constructed the porch of the throne, the porch of pillars, and the house of the Lebanon forest near this. All of these structures were located on the declining terrain between the Temple Hill's summit and the city of David's low spur. He also built a home for his Egyptian wife, who was not permitted to live in the house of David the king of Israel, because the locations to which the Ark of Jehovah has arrived are something holy, as Solomon explained. Nationwide construction. Solomon embarked on a nationwide construction initiative after completing his governmental construction projects. He utilized the descendants of Canaanites whom Israel had not destroyed during their conquest of Canaan as forced labor, but he did not make any Israelite slaves. He built up and fortified Gezer, which Pharaoh had taken from the Canaanites and given to his daughter, Solomon's wife, Upper and Lower Beth Horon, Baalath, and Tamar, as well as storage cities, chariot cities, and horseman cities. His construction efforts benefited the entire realm, including Jordan's area. He strengthened the mound even more. He completed the gap of David's city. This could be a reference to his construction or the extension of Jerusalem's wall all around. He fortified Hazor and Megiddo, and archaeologists have unearthed pieces of strong walls and fortified gateways in these now ruined cities that they believe are the remains of Solomon's efforts. In the next episode you will see that while Solomon became rich, what changed his personality.